peace, and happy now. Now is the vibrate. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now, not too far removed from waking up. So excuse the grogginess in the throat. I just want to speak on the different little, slick ways of subconscious programming. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we got all these different laws of the universe, but that one is kind of basically the main one in essence. Because if all is mine, that means, like, say for instance, all is mine, but here it is, you tell me, this iron molecule is this and it does that, or, this molecule is this and does that. If we all come together and envision making a new molecule, then that molecule is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have the power to create reality, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally, you know what I'm saying? So, the reason why you feel drawn away from it, like any disconnection from feeling that you could create, whatever you want, is you clinging, and not say like you purposely clinging or whatever, but is us still being in our humanity. It's part of the collective conscious. Everybody is like I forgot what they call that. It's like a little monkey experiment. I say experiment, but where they saw that, that the collective consciousness is not only for humans but for animals as well. Like where some monkeys that learn how to do something in one place with a stick, trying to get some fruit or get some insects out of a fruit or something. But long story short, they develop a new skill set, but without having to go actually physically, communicate with some monkeys way across the globe, quote unquote globe, way across the earth. Let me say that. Instead of going communicate directly way across the earth, that wavelength just got passed down, and so these monkeys in another place started doing the same thing. And they was just talking about how that's connected to us having the collective consciousness. But again, if you feeling like like we don't create our own reality, that's where that energy may be stemming from. It's stemming from the collective, others in the collective that's still not on this high vibration or not growing on this pathway. They still think like, oh man, nah, there's a God outside me or Jesus Christ that I gotta pray to, and the only way I could have a good life or do this or do that is if I go outside my body and pray. A lot of people still, staying with that brainwashing. Matter of fact, that's why I always bring up about how, the Catholic Church with the Crusades, like, they were trying to rule reality, and the same thing back to the Hollywood thing where I talked about how LA is like it's like the third eye chakra, but these things are all about programming your mind, because if I program your mind, you're going to create the reality that I want, and speaking to LA with the Hollywood, again, like Hollywood is like the capital. Forget the capital of Earth or the universe. It's the capital of reality. And when I say that, of course, not to give them no more power than what they're dealing with, but just to keep it the reality of the situation. Because again, we got this. We creating our own reality, but just for speaking in the past tense. The Hollywood vibes. Whatever movies they putting out, that's what the world watching, and the subconscious is what creates the physical world. So if everybody in the world is watching Lion King and Pirates of the Caribbean and all these different movies, and all these different movies are made by people who, whether directly or indirectly, they know or learn about, they either practice occultists and know about programming the subconscious, or indirectly somebody working on a movie, even though the main director may not know, or whatever the case may be, it's some type of, subconscious programming being put into that. So it's a constant play on your subconscious, dealing with the Hollywood movies and the cartoons and all these different things, And then when you think about it, it's always been it always been a programming, and for the most part, like aimed at the us as the younger souls as well. And I say young souls, the old souls and the young bodies, aimed at the quote unquote kids. We have all these cartoons, all these different little shows with these certain little programmings. Think about the Walt Disney movies where, it's all subconscious symbols and programming. That's why every occult is in essence into Carl Jung's work. Spelled Jung, but Carl Jung, and Sigmund and Freud, and learn about all these different things of the way the mind work, which I dipped into some of that information a little bit, but for the most part, for me, a lot of information will come natural to me, so I don't really go deep into certain information unless I just get moved to by spirit, But for the most part, I always had a natural vibe of just knowing what made people tick on a mental level, But that's the whole game, So that's why it's so much about the psychology vibes and the Necronomicon and the personification of the subconscious, and these monsters are great old ones, that's coming back, It's like it's just the vibration of getting your subconscious back, getting that old guy self back and getting all this other programming from out yourself. Because when you think about it, we're basically been, trained to create a reality for somebody else. That back to how I always correlate that to the Pokemon stories or the movies about like the fairies, or like any little movie or show cartoon that displays like a little magical being. Like, all right, the genie, Aladdin, where he got the genie, and he called upon the genie, but then he allowed for the genie to be a free genie. But same thing in how I spoke to the melanin, is the genie in essence. But that whole connection is to where it's like a personification of the logic, masculine male mind trying to control the magical feminine, intuitive side, you know what I'm saying? So that whole little aspect, it's like basically like the ego or intellectual the ego or intellectual mind controlling the subconscious or the God mind, That's also a personification of that in these cartoons. Like Go Pikachu and, Go Digimon and all that, they control, you are my little magical pet. Do as I say right now, Same thing with the genie and all that, you know what I'm saying? And I always compare that to the melanated people in America. Reason why, the government always trying to get, the melanated people on board with whatever they're doing is so, for one, to help build what they're doing, and indirectly keep us out of their way, you know what I'm saying? And again, as I speak on this, just all truthful, facts. We're not trying to get lost in the matrix of being, black, white, Asian, Mexican, American, we know we vibrations on the human experience, but again, vibrations on the human experience, and you think of the terminology, what it is, bodhisattva, you know what I'm saying it right? I'm probably saying a little off, but the bodhisattva is or sattva is a certain type of Buddha, and it's the Buddha who knows how to be connected, and fully knows that, it's one with source, one with the, with the all, at the same time playing the physical game, in the matrix, playing the game and knowing that, as a being that I'm playing the game and not being all the way in it, And I always bring up, what's going on in this game right now is that a certain group of peoples is being oppressed all over the world, So, and a lot of that oppression is due to lack of truth and a lack of knowledge being, shared on that situation, And it's just me being in my being, because another thing, it's not my job to try to, put on a cape and save the white people, the black people. I gotta save the Native Americans. I gotta save the Asians. I gotta save the North Koreans. No, I don't have to save that. I do my inner work and part of my inner work, you know what I'm saying, is sharing or sharing information, you know what I'm saying, or I'm into to get, you know, reading about certain knowledge and learning certain knowledge, and you know, knowledge is to be shared. So indirectly, you know, part of me sharing it is like, you know, helping others, but it's not my aim like where it's like I have to find a way, you know. And of course my growth started in that vibe, but realizing that, you know, it's only my quote unquote job when it presents itself to be my job, you know, when the universe just really lines me up with somebody interested in the information, you know, and I'm obviously studying it so I can share it with that person, you know. Same thing with the videos, where it's just me sharing information and not like forcefully, you know. It's like it's there for people to and it's a balance there for people to watch, and there's a balance because of course it's a part of say for instance, part of how I bring revenue in to sustain myself. So of course I'm gonna promote it to an extent, but you know, it's a balance with it. You know, just knowing again how to play the, you know, playing the paradox. You know, being in spirit, knowing I am a soul on a human experience, and also playing in the human experience, just not getting caught up to where my heart gonna weigh heavier than the feather. You know, you don't want your heart weighing heavier than that feather, because that's a problem. That's why, speaking of your heart weighing heavier than the feather, that's why the government will give you these programs like or these certain people, I should say, programs of consciousness, like Martin Luther King. You know, like much love I shade to the brethren, but he was used as a vehicle to program your subconscious in a way that's detrimental to you really waking up. You know, like all that marching and, you know, I have a dream and we shall overcome. You know, that's all good and dandy for the humanity part of a situation, you know, if you want to speak on just the morals of being a human, you know. But our real liberation is through knowing that we are spirits on a human experience. You know, our real liberation is knowing that you more than just a black or white person, or, you know, any type of person, is knowing more than that. So if anybody's coming, you know, matter of fact, being allowed on a mass scale to talk to everybody, you know, and they not talking about programming your subconscious for the you know, for the benefit of your soul. If a person, matter of fact, you could just grade it by that. If a person is not talking about programming your subconscious for the benefit of your soul to be able to exit out this matrix, then that person is a sham, like just point blank period, you know. And that's when you start to see that some of the quote unquote stars that you look up to, some of the entertainers, you know, matter of fact, they try to mimic, you know, I say try to mimic, but, you know, Hollywood set it up to mimic the stars. But anyway, like these entertainers, you'll start to see like, damn, all right, this entertainer really, like, you know, even though they come off as a little conscious or whatever the case may be, they playing the double-edged sword game where they letting us know a little bit, but they also doing the shit that's gonna keep you, you know, locked in. You know, I think to a few people, well, you know, they got videos that may be on certain you know, certain divination things, and then at the same time, you know, may be endorsing something that may not be healthy, you know. And it's just all a chess game. You know, it's different strokes for different folks. But back to that point though, at the end of the day, you know, like the Martin Luther King vibe, was somebody put in front of you to make you, you know, a docile human. You know, like, oh, let's be about the love and let's bring everything together. Like, and say, for instance, the reason why a lot of these people do get killed, so like the reason why Martin Luther King, you know, was killed, there's no such thing as dying or being killed. You know, the reason why he got put into that transition, because he knew what they had him doing with all the I have a dream situation, and he was about to come clean and speak on some like, bruh, I ain't gonna lie, I knew I was telling y'all some bullshit. You know, like he was about to come on that vibe, but you know, they end up making sure he transitioned. And in a lot of cases too, when we look at this, like, don't fear-monger yourself about the situation of like standing up for your rights and being transitioned, because with most of these people, they end up signing up for the fuckery, you know, in the first place, you know. Which, I mean, in essence, like when you look at the great Michael Jackson, Prince, you know, they had record label contracts and things of this nature that put them into that world. So by agreeing to be into that world, you know, when you go to back out of it, you know, you already kind of put your, you know, to a certain extent, sold your soul in essence. So with that being said, you know, don't feel like, just like with me, with this, how I had to come to grips with that. Like, man, I'm sharing this information, so it's telling me to share this information. It is what it is. Like, I know I'm not transitioning, and I know they not gonna, you know, they not doing nothing dealing with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm straight. You know, that's the whole vibe, and that's the whole vibe you gotta keep. That's why everything, again, subconscious programming and constantly trying to invoke fear in you. You know, if you have a person always fearing things, then they're gonna trap themselves inside a box, you know, and keep themselves from, you know, doing what they have to do to spiritually liberate themselves. So, you know, the Martin Luther King thing about Neil deGrasse Tyson, you know, oh yeah, we talk about space and this and that. But NASA is still, you know, still deal like Operation Paperclip. Go look up Operation Paperclip, where the Nazi soldiers moved. Matter of fact, some of them came to America and some of them went to Russia. It was almost like a bid on that. But some of the ones that were better, I think at like, you know, quantum physics, if I ain't mistaken, went to Russia. You know, and there was another set of scientists that came to America, but ones that came to America in Operation Paperclip went straight to NASA. And then you got the brethren, like, again, Neil deGrasse Tyson, that's making you, oh yeah, this and that, you know. And two, as back to the Mason situation as well, you know, the Freemason vibes, where I tell the brethren, you know, speak on it generally. Again, to each his own. I'm not getting involved in it to where I'm hurting myself, like, oh man, brethren, y'all gotta, it is what it is if they don't want to share information. But just to speak on it, you know, I'm like, you know, the Freemasons, you know, a lot of the brethren, I'm like, either they not getting the information, you know, like the real deep esoteric occult information, and some of these lives, like being from Louisiana, you know, you got some of the Masons back home, you know, it's like either they not giving the information, or it's a vibe where, and I'm only speaking and calling it ignorant because, you know, when you speak to one thing and be like, oh man, we gotta do this and do that to save the situation, this and that. But then you get information, occult information that lets you know about the Hermetic principles and how things really work. It's like, all right, either either you're ignorant or you purposely not trying to help, but one or the other. But to each his own. We all got our specific, our specific soul purpose in dealing in this matrix. You know, Donald Trump doing what he's supposed to be doing. You know, the Catholic Church did what they were supposed to do. You know, the Hebrews, the Atlanteans, the Lemurians, like we all just playing our parts. This is the never-ending story. We just playing our little roles, playing our persona. You know, the character. That's all it's about. And somebody trying to program your character, you know, so we in a game or in a movie, and people using those same movies, you know, using that same idea in essence. But again, this is all the slick programming. So if somebody is telling you, oh, I'm here to spiritually liberate you, I'm here with information that's going to liberate you, if they're not talking about the all is thought, like the universe is thought, like they either purposely being malicious, like run the other way, get out, just like that. Like they either purposely trying to entrap you in this matrix, or they indirectly doing it. Because again, you know, you do have you know, these parasitic vibrations that are moved through people, and they may not be consciously aware of what they're actually doing. But that lower vibrational parasite is moving through them nonetheless and working on you. So, you know, it's a funny situation of that. You know, you never know if somebody is doing it purposely or not. And two, this is why it's just important to recognize what's going on in general. Because whether somebody is conscious of it or not, really doesn't matter when it comes to saving your energy and saving your soul. You know, it's like, if they conscious of it or not, I just need to not go around it. You know, either way is not a good situation, you know. Because if they're not conscious of it, then that mean they can never, you know, stop it. In essence, they'll never be aware to stop themselves from falling into that vibration. And if they are conscious of it, then that mean they maliciously trying to do it. So either way, again, you know, it's not a good situation. And with that being said, you know, I think about what I was going to speak on. Or like the people you're around and stuff like that. So we're dealing with people, you know, I'm in LA, so I gotta be really, really aware of like who I'm dealing with without fear mongering myself. So it's like that, you know, being fearless, being courageous, and not worrying about if any person is trying to, you know, manipulate me. I just go with the flow, and then my intuition will kind of give me like that little ding, like ding, 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 like the light of the flash on if somebody trying to play some games with my mental, you know. So it's all about just going with the flow. You know, again, that's why the importance of getting the heart right. But what I was gonna say is like, you know, you got people who know about the law of attraction, know about crystals, know about all these different things, know about occult and esoteric information. But when you talk to them, they always indirectly talking about things that could either fearmonger, like things that could program your subconscious in a way that's not beneficial for yourself. And in essence, anybody trying to program your subconscious outside yourself, for the most part, is, and 90% of the times, in most cases, I just say in most cases, it's not the best thing for your soul to let somebody outside of yourself program your subconscious. So if you're walking around with somebody that says they're so adept at, you know, being into the esoteric and occult information, and they not, and the main thing that they don't speak on or know of is how the subconscious is programmed and all its thought, and that's the basis of us waking up to this information. You know, they're not speaking on that, and they constantly like, well, you know, I think you should do this, and I think, you know, you should do that, or, you know, how about trying this, like trying to suggest and influence you to do something, you know, what they think is a good idea. Then, you know, you might want to, you know, move around from that person, because again, by default, by if they're doing it purposely, or if, you know, or if it's the parasite controlling them, whatever the case may be, it's not a good situation to be around, you know. And this other situation I'm about to speak on was something that I actually spoke to somebody about, you know, dealing in Venice, because I'm back on that truthful vibe, that extremely truthful vibe, where, you know, I let you know how I feel, you know, fully, you know, to the point I like. Today, until further notice, I don't know how to tell the truth fully without it being awkward. But I don't mind that awkwardness from telling the truth. Like, it is what it is, you know. And matter of fact, that's why as empaths, you know, sometimes that's why I always speak of those chakra crystals being good for empaths. Because a lot of times we don't want to feel that feeling that comes with telling the truth. You know how you tell the truth and then you got that little dry air, that little awkward tension afterwards. You know, we be trying to dodge that, but it is what it is. Sometimes, matter of fact, you should make that a comfort zone. Like, keep telling the truth. That creates those type of vibes to where you just get used to, you know, that vibration that comes with telling the truth on that level. But again, the people may be doing this consciously or unconsciously. And I always felt like that. I'm like, how does a person know about these things? Like, a person claims to be a psychic. They claim to, you know about all the different Hindu texts and all these different, you know, spiritual practices, you know, practicing on the breathe and then doing all these different things. But you don't know about the Hermetic principles and that all this thought and how to program the subconscious, and that's the main thing. Like, the reason why magic is because it's that chaotic vibration of the divine feminine that, in essence, the Europeans couldn't put a definition to. Shout out to my European audience and my international audience right now. The reason why I did that, because I'm like, not the European, talking about the ancient situation, but, you know, they couldn't put a grasp on on what we what we's doing with our subconscious mind, so it becomes magic. Like, ooh, it's magic, bro, because they don't, again, from just giving anything some type of name or treating something in some type of way, because it's just from not understanding it, from not knowing it. And that's what unconditional love come in, where, forgive them for they know not what they do, It's just coming across something that they don't understand, and they just trying to poke the stick at it on some scientist type of stuff. And because there's a lack of connection, where some of them couldn't understand these higher concepts, and that's why you see why they treat the melanated person like a cadaver, and always, you got the harvesting of organs and all these different things. Is, they playing scientists on the melanated people, on that level, instead of trying to connect spiritually and find out what's going on spiritually, And it is what it is. Again, this is truthful information. This is not bad or good information. It's not saying one is better and one is worse. It's just information. It's truthful information, In order for us to, to grow in the now, we gotta be speaking on the truth, and not dwell in the different separations in a derogatory or in a manner that that takes us away from our source vibration. Takes us away from that source higher self, and puts us in that lower self of logic and the conscious mind. But also again, with somebody being intellectual, like, oh yeah, they know this, and I practice doing magic on this level, and and I do this every summer solstice, and I do that, and a person know of all these things, but then they don't know about how the subconscious program. It's like, all right, again, it's like either you purposely skipped over that information, or it's just blind ignorance or whatever. But in that case, then I shouldn't be around you, because if you're gonna be loosey-goosey, trying to get me to comply to what you're talking about, or whatever the case may be, and you're not understanding these concepts of that all is mine, then maybe I don't need to be around you. Because another aspect what I'm about to get into is, I never heard the terminology until I came across a Brother Panic video recently, where it's talking about love bombing, and it resonated, because I had this conversation with somebody in this area in Venice, about a lot of people's idea of spirituality is, being overzealous with love. It's like, oh, love. On a level that's, that's a little too overzealous at times, and in essence that'll come off as fake. And, I let somebody know, the reason why you barely see me in certain areas or certain parts of the day is because, I don't deal with that vibe, whether it's through ignorance of not knowing spirituality, on a, on saving, we all new to the growth, and don't have a full understanding of these concepts, again. But at the same time, at this point, it's like, well, regardless, because it's not my job to be around people who haven't grown to the area that I'm at. And when I say that, on a level where, of course, you're there to help others grow and stuff like that. But if you in the same pace with these people, and it's not a situation of you helping that person to grow, if you just being around that person just to be around them, in essence, again, with that the fake overly love, the overzealous love vibration, is like, can't do it. I don't use the word can't. I just say it's very difficult, to be around that vibration. And since the veil thinning, you do feel that some people may be, faking that situation. But back to subconscious programming, dealing with the love bombing, like showing, oh, we love you. this and that. Like, whenever you're showing behavior that's conditioned behavior, it's basically celebrating conditioned behavior. The behavior that somebody or a group of people want you to display. You're gonna get a lot of love whenever you're displaying that vibration. That's a deep one. That one gonna make a lot of people scratch their head like, because again, I keep it real. That's why I'm not so much into going to a lot of these group yoga spots, and none of this is nothing to them. Much love and blessings. What they doing is beautiful, I'm pretty sure, but it's like a lot of times I just can't, because if people is dealing with spirituality and they don't know of the subconscious programming and certain things, it's like, I find myself, not being able to be in there with the love bombing. Like, when I'm in, like, why do I always get a lot of love when I'm at my most docile? That's something to think about. Like, whenever I'm being, quiet and, super loving and, not being what I am as a, because again, vibration on a human experience, on this human experience, I'm in a melanated being's bodysuit, and I come from a place of I don't even say come from a place on that level, but just where I am what I am, you know what I'm saying? So I talk a certain way, I do things a certain way. So if I find that being myself, don't warrant that love that, not being myself warrants, like when I'm super docile and being less masculine, that's another key, being less masculine and docile, I get a lot of love. But when I'm feeling, when I'm up there with it, I'm feeling masculine and, or I should say, feeling, not say over masculine, but, really up there with it, it's like I don't get that same love, and, it doesn't come in the same manner if it even comes at all when I'm displaying that vibration. So, that's kind of an example of love bombing, and of course, like, I know for sure, like, again, that's part of my growth, being in LA, being in Venice, where, learning these things, because that's another thing to spirituality, learning from experience. With me being out here, on the outside level, yeah, people may look at like, oh man, what's wrong with him sleeping outside or doing all these different things, but this is a part of my path, and a part of me being able to learn from experience, was, being on my nomadic journeys out here, until further notice, which is now, getting out of the situation now, but like, that's the thing, like, being, really seeing, being hands-on of seeing, like, all right, damn, this is how this operates, or this is how that operates. Let me work on this subconscious, this part of my, now let me see how things, like, it's doing your own work, is doing your own field work. Like, you gotta go out there in the field, how a person do. I'm gonna be a teacher, Yeah, but a teacher don't just have to read books. They also got to do field work. They got to go sit down in a class and observe how a teacher actually teaches. Then they got to go and, work on side of teacher as a substitute and or as a helper. And then, eventually start taking class. They got to do field work. They got to be hands-on. When you look at anything, when we call ourselves learning something, like, it's hands-on, kind of speaking to what I tell people with going to college. Of course, they trying to bullcorn you with that 1 degree of knowledge out of 360 degrees, putting that black box on your head, all that good stuff. But at the same time, like, say for instance, engineering, like something that actually, dealing with numbers is real. The universe is numbers and vibrations and all that. So, that's real stuff. But I would tell people, if you're going to go to school, it should be out of the situation where school provides certain tools, you know what I'm saying? So if I don't have a telescope, school could provide me with a telescope, like, use the school system in that manner, like, where it's dealing with a major or a certain career that, where, like, it's certain equipment that, you just don't, every day you're not just able to go what you are. see going to programming, you see how that work, you know what I'm saying? You're capable of manifesting any and all things, but the way your mind, or most of our minds, have been programmed, you know, it may be harder to manifest a $1 million telescope, or your own observatory, you know, or you know, these big machines that they work with for doing you know, engineering, civil engineering, or whatever, all these different engineering jobs, you know. We've been programmed to see it as hard to manifest these machineries. So, you know, again, so we're dealing with that energy. You would, you know, with the thought frame of like, all right, you know, I won't be able to manifest these things right, you know, that quick. Then yeah, you know, again, using the college for that vibration would be beneficial. But other than that, you know, don't just take that 1 degree of knowledge, spending 4 years of your earthly experience for 1 degree of knowledge, you know, when there's so much more. You know, here it is that, you know, the Jesuits, and you know, the Jesuits, the little, basically like the little magicians for Vatican, but how these guys, they grow up, they getting taught all these things, like the universe is mind, and the hermetic principles, and all these different occult and esoteric vibrations, how to deal with, you know. That's why, again, a lot of people so into Carl Jung and all the psychology work, because, you know, they learning how to program the massive subconscious, you know what I'm saying? That's the whole thing. Again, back with Hollywood, you know. It's like all these movies. And matter of fact, speaking of Hollywood, back to that subject, where, you know, you got the X-Men. I think about how, you know, X-Men, Xavier's like Martin Luther King. I spoke to Martin Luther King again. So they double program you. Think about that. Like when Martin Luther King was put out there to, you know, make the melanated community docile, and to basically just overall just keep them from knowing that they're even more than a human. You know what I'm saying? But like making them think like marching was gonna fix the situation at hand. But then even so, the Martin Luther King didn't fully work on that level. So they end up putting Martin Luther King in the comic book and in a movie. You know what I'm saying? As Xavier Charles from the X-Men. You know, and how, you know, Xavier rather jeopardize, you know, all of the mutant life for the humans, you know. You know, he like, bro, you know, we just gotta make sure the humans are safe, you know. And if that means us as mutants gotta turn into, you know, doormats, and, you know, it's all trying to program the subconscious indirectly, you know. It draws that parallel. So it could program anybody who closely relates to that situation, you know. You being subconsciously programmed to be docile, you know, and that again is all about symbols. You know, you could read a book, but the subconscious, again, that's why sometimes it's so hard with just affirmations and just words to program the subconscious. But like with symbols, or like watching a movie, or reading a comic book, you know what I'm saying? That's stimulating the left and right brain. But you know, you watching these movies and stuff is symbolic. So like, matter of fact, Brother Panic spoke to this particular example, like with Any Given Sunday. Matter of fact, gotta give a little shout out to my brethren Sam George for being in that movie, back from OP, Southern University graduate. Shout outs, had to get my little humanness in there. But you know, being in it but not of it. But the Any Given Sunday movie, you know, and matter of fact, because my brethren was in this scene too, so that's another reason why it's kind of funny. But like where Cameron Diaz go in the locker room, you know what I'm saying, while the brethren's naked and stuff like that. But it's to implement that slave owner slave, you know, mentality, and, you know, program the subconscious to, like, it's just reinforcement to make sure that everybody on track with that agenda, you know. And when I say on track, we're not trying to be on that track, but somebody wants you to be on that track, you know what I'm saying? And that's where it come from. Like, so they let Cameron Diaz scene go in the locker room is kind of just trying to reestablish that vibration of the slave and the slave owner vibe, like the football players, which that situation is so much like slavery, to where it is what it is. But again, that's a little subconscious programming to, reinforce that certain vibration. Also with this, like the movie White Man's Burden, how that movie just basically kind of seemed like it got wiped off the face of the earth. Matter of fact, if y'all look it up or y'all ever watched it before, but White Man's Burden is basically a movie that kind of switches the aspect of, like, so in the movie, white people getting treated how how black people get treated, in society, and vice versa. Black people getting treated like white people. And John Travolta and what's his name, Belafonte, I forgot the brethren's first name, but the Belafonte brethren and John Travolta is the main characters in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Where John Travolta is a factory worker, living in the hood, and Belafonte is the rich owner of the business or whatever, and they had a little situation play out. But you don't hear, I mean, how many reviews or how much is people hollering out about, oh yeah, White Man's Burden is my favorite movie, or even bring up the movie at all, you know what I'm saying? Like subconscious programming, they kind of like, let's mosey this on to the side. We don't really need to have this playing in people's subconscious, because again, if your subconscious creates your physical reality, then again, they keep showing you these images to program your subconscious. And again, this is me going through just being truthful on all these different aspects, because this is something that a lot of us should be aware of, no matter what color you are. You know what I'm saying? This is just not for no black person to be aware of, like melanated, lightly melanated, however, whatever walk of life, you know what I'm saying? This is something for everybody to know, because this is important to know of these situations of subconscious programming just in general. But again, this is why they play certain movies with a certain aspect, that's why that's why the certain person always gotta die first in the movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's no coincidence. In a universe with no coincidences. That's another thing to add to with all this being said, like, and people try to, some people try to make it seem like it's it's probably coincidence. Like, really? We're gonna call ourselves spiritual and knowing of occult and esoteric information and act like these things from these movies is coincidence? Like, nah, it's reinforcement of programming, Like, we see Gods of Egypt without a melanated person in it. That's subconscious programming, like, purposely, And that's back to where you're looking at some of the entertainers, and you look at some of the roles they take in movies, or the fact that they know what's going on, but they're not coming out and actually saying, hey, like, think about how many people in Hollywood or how many entertainers, like, how we got little interviews of, you got all the little interviews of Tupac and Will Smith and all these different people. Like, think about how many interviews of where one of these people is really saying, hey, guys, all is mind, all is thought, the universe. Because, again, it's a double-edged sword for some. Some are just playing, it's no black and white to this situation. You got some entertainers playing both sides of it, where they're going to tell you about the law of attraction, but then at the same time, they're going to make a movie about Bojangles and slavery and how to keep, you know what I'm saying? Like, what can I say? It's definitely just a little chess game on that level. Some people playing, and a lot of us could say, oh, well, fuck that. No, if they keeping some of it from us, they might as well be keeping all of it from, It is what it is. It's not me. It's not my position to care too much about none of that. just dealing with the information and doing what I gotta do for my soul to elevate and ascend, and the rest will fall in place. But yeah, again, the movie is subconscious programming. You got like the little Walt Disney vibes, and I remember being put on to that. That was like in the early conspiracy days where, you know, where somebody was telling me about like the Walt Disney vibe, and they're like, yeah, man, all the shit, you know, it's subconscious program, it's sexual program, this and that. And I was new to it on that level, and when I was new to, like, I was into like learning a lot of, you know, different conspiracy, quote unquote, what we call the conspiracy theories, but like I was new to the movie vibe, you know, like I should say the Walt Disney, like knowing about the Walt Disney subconscious program, like I was new to that. So when somebody introduced me to that and showed me videos, and the video was showing like basically like how every chance Disney get in the movies, like whether like a little dust cloud form or like some little energy moving, whatever, it'll always find some kind of way to indirectly form the word sex. Which is funny how they would promote sex subconsciously, but then they don't. They promote it in a derogatory way, and they suppress it to a certain extent so they could promote it in a derogatory way. So it's like a little funny, the funny way how they do that. So kind of like promoting it, but promoting in a manner that's not beneficial for you, and at the same time suppressing it. So as it suppresses, when you do find yourself open yourself up to sex, you're gonna be into it in a way that's unbeneficial to yourself, by overly watching porn, for example, stuff like that. But what was I? Oh, Walt Disney with the sex vibration, it's like, oh, sex in the cloud of smoke. And at first I'm like, oh man, they just reaching, But then I start getting more information and learn about the cult and learn about, the masonry, Walt Disney, all that different stuff. I'm like, all right, damn, that really is, what they doing. They programming the fuck out of us as little kids with little Walt Disney movies. Like, it's extremely occult and esoteric, with the little subliminal messages in there. Because again, symbols, like you just watching a cartoon and say, for instance, Pocahontas is Pocahontas to your conscious mind, but Pocahontas represents the divine feminine aspect. And say, for instance, that movie, this is an example, so because I don't know if this happened in the movie, but let's just say, Pocahontas gets abused by somebody in that movie, and on screen they show her getting slapped up or whatever. That's to relate a message to your subconscious of slapping up your divine feminine within and disrespecting the divine feminine within. So that's how they play with these little subconscious messages. It's just, say for instance, a character in a certain movie or cartoon represents a whole idea or a whole level of consciousness, and they'll make particular things happen to that character in a manner of what they want to program into your subconscious. If I want you to be a good slave, I'm gonna make a movie. Matter of fact, make a movie in these days or back in those days actually do this shit. But whether it's make a movie or actually do it, but to make you more docile, I'm a whip the bat, like the biggest and most muscular, quote unquote slave I could come. I'm gonna tear his ass, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna also put that in the movie, doing that. So it's programming your subconscious, of a certain behavior that that even though your conscious mind will say, oh, that's just a character in a movie, again, and how the subconscious, how you kind of, if I did say subconscious, how your conscious mind will say, oh, it's just a character in a movie, but it's that ego, like just trying to manipulate, oh, that's just this, don't worry about that. Like, nah, you should be programming your subconscious for the better, and you should want to not pay attention to these things, and not get this subconscious program. Same thing with scary movies, is to program you to be afraid of the dark, on multiple levels, on all kind of levels. They're trying to scare you away from darkness. Rick James, bitch. I had to do it. Darkness. Should have never gave you niggas money. Shout out to Chappelle, man. Matter of fact, and doing his thing, you know. And when they was trying to get him, matter of fact, subconscious programming. That's why too they always try to get these get the melanated men, you know, quote unquote the black males in movies to put on a dress or do some, you know, little gay scenes and stuff like that. Nothing to homosexual people. You live whatever type of life you want, but just with America and its agenda and how they try to push it on us, you know. Like when you look at certain people, like they had to wear a dress or kiss a man or, you know, be butt naked. Because I even thought to a few people that, like, I was like, oh yeah, so and so ain't, and I'm like, oh damn, yeah, they do have that movie where they was wearing a dress, or they do have that movie where they had to play this gay character. And then you notice after that happens, their career is like, woo, like they could do no wrong. Like, you know, they could do something that, you know, was seen foul to the moralistic standards, but they get away with it because, you know, they doing the work. You know, they compared to where if they not complying to these things, and all of a sudden you crazy, like Dave Chappelle is crazy. What's wrong with him moving to Africa out the blue and quitting his show? He's so crazy. He's so crazy. You know what I'm saying? You become that person whenever you stand up for the situation and know what's going on, and, you know, keep yourself from falling into those the vibes that they trying to, you know, use and deal with. But again, too, the veil is lifting on that level. That's why I'm being asked to speak on these situations, because it's no good or bad. This information is truthful information, not nothing for us to, you know, to dwell on in the sense of like where you just, and, you know, and two, focus on the truthful part of the information that is used for the benefit. You know, because again, when we're bringing up because in the same sentence, I let you know it's not about no black or white or this and that, you know, but certain information, truthful information that just needs to be shared, you know, with dealing with, you know, subconscious programming, you know, to in order for the information to be, you know, grasped in essence. Because a lot of these things, again, is just truthful aspects too that just need to be spoken on and to be shared, you know. High self, ancestors, the spirit realm is, because I'm seeing other people kind of speaking on the importance of, you know, the all this mind aspect and the subconscious, and just, you know, knowing that, you know, that you want to program your mind and not let someone else do it, you know? Point blank, period. And we create our own reality by, you know, dealing with our own mind. That's basically it. Just back to, you know, being careful of the people who know of all the occult and esoteric information, but then as you're talking to them, they're talking to you in a manner where it seems like they're trying to program your subconscious to a certain to something, you know, and not say like it's something that they say, for instance, a malicious thing, but just in general, where they talking to you in a manner where they not respecting the fact that you are a grown soul that know how to, you know how to program your own subconscious, or you know what you want to, you know, do on your soul purpose. So you don't need nobody being a little bit too influential or overly suggestive of what you should do on your spiritual path. You know, it's like, you know, I feel you, but, you know, I know how I'm gonna do this. You know. And again, it's multiple things too, because it could be your higher self checking yourself, like, well, like say for instance with me, I had to stand up for being truthful for myself. So as I move back into that place, you know, higher self with me, you know, sending a situation where I would have to display my strength in the area of speaking up and saying, well, no, I'm doing things this manner, you know, and not let somebody program my subconscious, you know, like basically standing up for those situations. You know, I had to get a little more courage and a little more oomph in my words, you know, in that department. So that situation was brought up for me to handle it. But anyway, but yeah, just be careful of that whole little vibration, you know. The people who deal with the crystals, deal with all this information, you know, and they love bombing you. You know, be careful of the love bomb, where you getting showered with love whenever you're showing a certain type of behavior, and then when that behavior steps outside, or especially, and it speaks volumes when your behavior speaks to you being on your spiritual path as you should, and you're not getting that same love, then you know what it is, But that's basically it. Programming the subconscious mind, in all of the slick ways, that's, ain't nothing but, again, when you look at the entertainers, so, like, this conversation will definitely have you looking at the people around you, a little different, but it's for sure the entertainment world about, how, like, again, like, a lot of them got the information, but they seem to not care about sharing it with everybody, some people playing both sides of the fence, they share a little bit and then they gonna give you something that's detrimental to you as well. It's like a little, like I think about like the little Sour Patch Kids, some of them will throw a snowball in your face, but then backdoor and have a towel and wipe the snowball off your face as well, like to put it in a metaphorical place. That would be how some of the entertainers is dealing with that energy. They're gonna speak of the law of attraction, speak on Dr. Sebi, speak on certain things, and then they're gonna make a song or a movie about fuck bitches and be material. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all it's no black and white. It's areas that's shaded gray. It's all different little aspects on all different levels. That's basically it. Subconscious, y'all. That gotta get your subconscious back. And I already got the video. I don't have to go all into that, Well, I ain't gonna say the last video because I may put another video before this one or something like that, but one of the recent videos I just did on different methods of programming, reprogramming, deprogramming and reprogramming the subconscious, different methods of it, so definitely check that out. I'm out. Just be aware of the the slick subconscious programmer, the people who, and this person may seem like they on just like how Obama had a little bounce to his step, and he doing this March Madness tournament bracket, and and spoke on Trayvon Martin. They gonna allow for that figure to do a few things to pull you in, but at the same time, for the most part, on a big scale, they program your subconscious in a way that's not beneficial for your soul ascension and soul growth. Like anybody that's trying to get you to be a human. Like anybody that's trying to get you to pay attention to what's going on with Donald Trump and politics. Again, if they're not doing it purposely, it's still an energy that's trying to keep you down, because that ain't what the sauce is about. The sauce right now is not about worrying about what the fuck going on in politics. Excuse my diction, but it is what it is. It's like, it's not about worrying about who won out of Pusha T and Drake. That shit cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Again, we could play the game and not be, all the way in it. But again, and it's different strokes for different folks, Of course, depending on how strong our subconscious, is on our own programming, we could allow ourselves to be around some of these little vibrations for a certain amount of time. But just at the same time, be aware of those, those people, that vibration of, again, certain energies that trying to, get you to pay attention to certain things that's not beneficial to, to your spiritual growth. Like at this point, because all of us, for the most part, since all of us not, by majority, all of us not manifesting things at the snap of a finger, we all every day should be working on our subconscious at a very, high rate, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that anybody comes around that's focusing on, things outside of that, and again, it's all right for us to have, quote unquote regular conversations from time to time, but again, I know for me and myself, so let me speak for myself. I know where I'm at on my growth. There's a certain place that I want to, make sure I'm at, with my subconscious. So I take that a little serious, So I make sure I'm a little more, hands-on with programming my subconscious, and I'm putting getting a lot of reps in, because knowing that repetition program the subconscious. So it's just me and my growth and how I feel about it. But that's basically it, y'all. Peace. Happy now. Now is to vibrate. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now.